As the late John Betjeman, the poet laureate, concluded, traffic changes everything. And although it's changed perhaps the atmosphere of Salisbury's Market Square, this area of the city remains largely unchanged by time. But Eda Moore's 1930s film, and before that footage gathered as part of a 1920s travelogue and made for the cinema, show an aspect of market life that has changed considerably. Then cattle were herded down New Canal, hurdles and pens were erected, and livestock bought and sold. A tradition that, until relatively recently, had been repeated weekly since medieval times.
£1.20 a pound of sweet Seagus grapes here, come on.
In the early days, my grandfather told me the farmers would be here selling their stock. They'd be in the pubs after the day's work, and then they'd get in the traps, hit the old horse on the rump and say, "Home, James," and that was it. And the horses used to take them home. That's an old family firm, Pritchett's. My main connection is my father, my late father, who was employed by the council as one of the first toll collectors for Salisbury. There were 3 or 4 of them, and he also was in charge of the Salisbury Fair every year, and the weekly cattle market, and the Saturday general market. With regard to the animal markets, he had to ensure that they were all under control. The various companies had the hurdles that they erected for the smaller animals. They did have the big cattle in here at one time, but then they went to two repository yards, one in the Castle Street, which was Woolley and Wallace, and the other, Knapman, Son and Bayment, in the canal.
I can remember they were all the lorries would be lined up at the edge of the market, I suppose, and then the ramps would go down and they'd move the animals round about. Of course, we took it for granted because it had always happened. You know, it was interesting, that market.
There were stones set in the market square surface, granite blocks with square holes. And these were the holes in which stakes were put each time to link sheep hurdles. So you could very quickly put in the posts and then set up a lattice of hurdles.
And I think the smells were the most unusual things, you know, and of course the cattle used to make a lot of noise, and then of course they'd be hitting them with sticks, which my poor son didn't like very much, you know, but and he didn't like it when they put the clips in their ears. I don't think it hurt them, but it did look very unpleasant, really.
It was sad in a way because you knew a lot of them were going to be slaughtered, and they were not, they thought of their animals, but there wasn't the general care taken that there is nowadays.
But it was a big swathe down the middle of the market with all these, you know, different animals, and the trucks were at the side that they'd brought them in.
And around the edge there were trestle tables set up where there were cages containing chickens and rabbits and perhaps litters of puppies, all for sale. And my first dog came from there.
The variety of the goods on offer are different because it used to be mainly sort of household goods and food. I like the look of that. You see, we had people who had vegetables and another sweet stall, and these are local people, and they brought their own produce. It wasn't bought in, it was homemade. You used to be able to go up and down the aisles much easier, but there wasn't the variety that there is today. There weren't all the sort of these sort of things.
They used to come in with meat vans and vegetable vans, and they used to stand on them, and you know, and at the end of the Saturday, everything was left over was bought off cheap. Used to stand around and bid so much for it, and they used to throw it out to the people in the, you know, that bought it. And that's Gamblins, that was the name of the people who used to come in with the meat. And then there used to be some people coming with bananas. Of course, as girls from the school, we used to go around and make eyes at the boys that were serving. And they said, chuck us out some free bananas, you know. There used to be a scrabble to get them, see who was quickest to get the free bananas being thrown away.
People had time then to talk and to study what they were buying. And it was a family affair. There were people that came on year after year, day after day, with their own stock, whatever it was, be it garden stock or livestock, selling all sorts of things, sweets and everything. And you all knew each other. They all knew each other. And it was all locally made and produced.
It was a hive of activity always. Amazing, wonderful.